Hey everybody, Plasma 1945 with a quick overview of the key controls which I'm bound for flying the F-5, either on Growling Sidewinder, Cold War server, or wherever, but these are sort of the most important buttons. Sorry about the quality of the audio. I thought I had it filtered out, but unfortunately I had to crank it up, so here we go. So let's go over some of the controls which you should have bound to fly successfully. That doesn't mean that I can fly this thing, but I can try. Button 1 and button 6 on my joystick is first and second detent to shoot. So second detent is really the one that you need bound, which will basically fire your cannons. The first detent will just open the gun ports. Next up, make sure that you've got nose wheel steering bound. Nose wheel steering needs to be pressed down whenever you're taxiing and turning. So if you're actually making a turn, you must hold down the nose wheel steering button down. Alright, up from that, make sure that you bind your TDC buttons up, down, left, and right. This will allow you to move the pipper along your radar screen to try to lock something. I have never had to lock anything that way, but it potentially you could use it in some situations. But in most cases, your GCI or your AWACS will usually guide you to a target. Next up from that, radar bindings. Make sure you've got a radar mode selector operation bound to a button and standby bound to a button. In most cases, I'm flying with my radar off and standby. Once I have a hostile, I'll flip it into operational and I will lock a target. How do you lock a target? Well, you've got a couple of ranges on this radar. It goes from 40 to 5 miles. Radar will only lock targets for gun sight under 10 miles. So what you want to do is you want to bind a couple of controls for your radar. I bound one for radar range 40, which is maximum, and I bound another one for radar range 10. So 40 is if I want to find something, I flip it to 10 if I'm ready to shoot at something. Next up, your actual radar control. Dogfight resume search aft. This button will basically lock a target that's in front of you under 10 miles. Usually you'll see that target in front of you visually, and you'll want to lock him so that your gun pipper will start tracking him automatically. So make sure you've got that bound to something. Make sure you've got another button down for dogfight resume search forward. This is if the target's approaching you, but I almost never use it. Usually I'm on somebody's 6 o'clock. So that's search aft. Then there should be another binding for you for resume search, which basically will reset it and unlock anything that you're tracking. And that's center press resume search, which basically unlocks the target in front of you. So what you want is resume search and aft. Those are two main controls that you really want to use. Alright, beyond that, what else was there? Theater map view, cockpit view if you can, to look at the map in F10. That's always helpful. There's also a missile uncage switch. What this will do is this will allow you to actually have your missile track a few extra degrees up and down in front of your plane when you're trying to lock, so you can lead a target and then uncage to lock it and launch it. Finally, weapon release button, which will release the missile off of your wing. The sidewinders can be released pretty much at any time as long as they have a steady tone, or you can release them even if they don't have a steady tone and you'll be short a missile and you only get 2 of them, so make sure you don't waste them. Alright, so there we have it. That is all the keys that I've got bound. I do have one other one which I completely forgot, which is flare chaff button, which will dispense your flare and your chaff. And of course things like wheel brake and everything else, but that's all you really need to take off.